11 o'clock on a chilly October morning, 1988. I was at home in Taipei, Taiwan. We just got a call from my aunt who was living in the southern part of Taiwan, letting us know that my paternal grandmother just retreated to her room to rest after crying for hours. I was sitting in the dining room listening to my mother's ends of conversation. I wasn't worried. My grandmother was healthy, but she and I, we just had a verbal confrontation 2 weeks ago on the phone when she accused my mother for not wanting my father to get better. You see, my father was diagnosed with 3 kinds of cancer just 7 months prior. She was desperate and wanted him to try everything. He preferred to stay with Western medicine. She was losing her son, but she couldn't extend the compassion to my mother, who was losing her husband, or to my brother and I, who were losing our father. So when she accused my mother, I felt compelled to intervene. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sitting in my room staring into the cloudy sky. When my father got ill, I wondered what would happen to my mother should he die. You see, my mother, and I learned that at a young age, that she was unworthy to my paternal grandmother. My grandmother was someone who thought my father was better than for anybody, any woman. She didn't have to beat her. Her words were sharp, like a knife. They could slice your heart and your skin slowly. She looked down my mother's family because they were not as rich. Well, she spent several hours crying that morning. Of course she did, because just 8 hours ago at 2 o'clock in the morning, my father passed away, 7 months after he was diagnosed, just like the doctor predicted. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sitting in the living room, listening to my mother and watching her answering phone calls. My grandmother didn't like me. She disliked me for one simple reason. It was because I was born a girl. In her eyes, I had no value. I was a financial burden, a mouth to be fed and to feed, until I eventually belonged to another family, until I get married. I knew about her feelings toward me since I was very young. I observed the way she loved my older brother and how differently we were treated. When I was young, my mother told me she was lucky to have my older brother as her firstborn. She said my grandmother would have my father divorce her if she didn't produce a son immediately. When he was a baby, when my brother was a baby, she would hold him for hours, loving him. But then when I came along, she didn't want to have anything to do with me. It was as if I didn't exist. But there's something very different between my mother and me. That is, I don't take shit from anybody. But then, as I was sitting there, I felt the burden of the world on my shoulder because I realized I would have to defend my mother and spend probably the rest of my life defending her. I could feel the presence of my grandmother hover over me and my family like a hawk. 6 o'clock in the evening, the phone rang, and I prayed that that would be the last call for the day. I just couldn't take it anymore because we got so many calls from relatives and friends. My aunt called. My mother's face turned white when she hung up the phone. My grandmother died, never woke up, gone just like that. It was as if my father had decided to take her with him. And people say that it was because he was trying to do something good for his family. And regardless how I felt about my grandmother, having 2 family members die on the same day sent chills down my spine. When it rains, it pours. It is bad luck. But then I also learned a very powerful lesson about karma. What goes around comes around. And sometimes you let go and let the divine do the work. Thank you.